Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the ZeldaDungeon.net video mailbag where I answer your Zelda questions. Our first question comes from Demon the Kid. What is your favorite cameo in a Zelda game? Mine is finding Wart in Link's Awakening. I think, well, that's a little tricky for me because I've never been terribly fond of any of them. I guess I'd sort of have to go with the first one I ever found out about, which was the Mario paintings in the window in the courtyard in Ocarina of Time. That's a major one that I found. It's just nostalgic finding that, or being told about that. And I guess if there's any others, it would be the chain chomps that have appeared in some Zelda games, just because I like chain chomps in general. I think they're cool creatures. So those would be mine, but be sure to tell me your guys' though. Awesome asks, hypothetically, if the Zelda series decided to genre hop, which genre would you want it to hop to? By this I mean becoming a first-person shooter, traditional platformer, real-time strategy game, a Dota-style game, beat-em-up, etc. Well, I'm not really that interested in the idea of the Zelda series changing genres like entirely, like actually the main series going to something else. So I would say nothing in particular, although I guess the idea of a platformer adventure game would be pretty fascinating, and, you know, if they expanded on some of the ideas they had in Zelda 2 and did more with it, maybe made it a little more like Metroid, I guess that'd be pretty interesting. But all in all, I'd like Zelda to stay as it is. I did, however, write an article fairly recently, I'll link to it in the description, about how I think that Zelda spin-off should kind of go nuts. So, among all the ideas that for genres that Zelda could tackle within spin-offs, I think like an MMO RPG, but still very Zelda-ish online game would be very cool. That'd be mine. Be sure to tell me your guys' answers to this, though. Sir Analog asks, what specifically would you want in the new Zelda Wii U, knowing what we know now? Well, as I'm sure you already know, having asked this question, we recently, heard that they are intending to make, their priority with Zelda Wii U is to rethink what Zelda is, or something along those lines, to, rethink the things that, Zelda has come to be, and in particular, they outlined, the linearity, of, going through dungeons in a specific order, and also playing alone. I don't know what I'd want to see. I don't particularly have a fondness for seeing, a huge cooperative multiplayer Zelda, and I wouldn't want them to do, what they did with the Mario series and the Mario and Kirby series, where they have this huge emphasis on cooperative gameplay lately. But there are interesting multiplayer functions they could have, especially if they're optional, that, there's a lot of options about what they could do with that. They could do something vaguely similar to Four Swords, a cooperative thing, something like the Tingle Tuner with the Wii U gamepad, which would be interesting because it would be very compatible with Skyward Sword type controls. Someone controls some function, maybe nothing like the Tingle Tuner, with the gamepad, while another player has more, something plays motion controls like Skyward Sword. Things like that. That could be pretty cool, and that would get the best of both worlds in a lot of ways regarding using motion controls and still utilizing the gamepad. But I think most importantly, with the non-linearity thing, I just kind of want to see that. But not just in the dungeons, I just want the world itself to have a lot to do in it. I want to have a world you can explore and find stuff in, not just dungeons out of order. It's a broader non-linearity thing is kind of what I want to see. Kind of like the adventure stuff we saw in the old classic Zelda games, and I think that they really do. That's the main thing. They kind of need to get back to that classic thing, and yeah, more or less, that's the main thing. Caleb Cheek asks, what improvements would you like to see in the remake of The Wind Waker? Personally, I would love improved sailing and improve sailing and some sketchy AI. What would be your thoughts? I don't really foresee a lot of gameplay changes, although they certainly said there were going to be refinements. I just don't exactly expect them to be huge ones. Fixing the sailing to be a little quicker and maybe that would be great. I doubt they do this, but it would be great to have some longer land sections. That would be much appreciated for me. Other than that, the best thing I could come up with would be a difficulty thing. I just don't think, making it harder. I just don't think that they're gonna make that many changes to the Wind Waker as it is, and yeah, I don't think that they're gonna do a lot of that. Locke asks, in the Nintendo Direct, Iwata consistently apologized for delays, attributing them to the need to meet quality standards. Aonuma said the same about Zelda Wii U. Are you happy about this, or do you feel that pushing out the Wind Waker HD isn't enough to make up for such a large gap between game releases? Well, I don't really care about the Wind Waker HD overall that much. I'm not crazy about remakes, as I've discussed in the past. I won't get into that, though. More importantly, I think that, yeah, the short answer is I am happy about that. I think that they should put a lot of effort into just focusing on polishing the game and making sure it's good and making sure it's high quality, because honestly, I felt that a lot of the recent Zelda games were disappointing on at least some level, though they were all great games. and they already took a long time making those, so certainly something's up, and they need to, you know, put some focus in the quality, and whether that makes it take longer, I don't care, as long as they make it good. So I don't think they really actually have to answer for anything, or tide it over, or do some kind of game as an apology or whatever. I don't think they need to do that, though, you know, the Wind Waker HD, I think, is a good way for them to do that, to tide people over. ECM asks, would you like to see more Zelda games take place in other countries? I love Holodrum, Labrina, Termina, and Koholint Island, and would love to see Zelda games explore more settings or even revisit Holodrum and Labrina. Yes. Link's brother asks, how would you feel if your partner in the next Zelda game could fight with you in battles and be more interactive than just sitting around yelling at you? I know Spirit Tracks had something similar to this, but was only limited to the Tower of Spirits. I think that they should expand it more, but what about you? Well, I love the Tower of Spirits mechanics with Zelda's Phantom form thing, and I would like to see more. I actually was wanting, when they announced the Phantom thing, I was hoping for was that Spirit Tracks kind of replicated the buddy system sort of thing you had for the latter half of the Wind Waker, where you had a partner for each dungeon. I thought it'd be cool if you actually like collected party members and you could take them into dungeons with you by carrying them along on the train. You could take them onto the train from different locations and bring them somewhere to help you out. I thought that would have been cool. So to some degree, having like characters that do more, whether it's a group of characters or just one throughout the game, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I just don't think that they should do it in a way where it really disrupts a lot of the standard Zelda experience. I just think that you should have this character that you can play with, but also you can still very much play the game normally, just you have to use this character for specific parts, or to make it easier or whatever. Actually, it would be a good mechanic for the multiplayer function that we were talking about just earlier, so maybe they would do something like that. That could be pretty interesting, depending on how they do it, as long as it doesn't turn it into just some kind of straightforward co-op experience and not an adventure game. EOTW asks, Ganon has been defeated by Link many times, each time sealed away by the Master Swords. How do you think he spends his time in the Sacred Realm Limbo, and how does he keep escaping? He spends his time in there very, very angry and constantly cursing Link and Zelda. Both literally and also, like, verbally. As for how he keeps escaping, they kind of keep changing that from game to game. Sometimes it's a big ritual to revive him from the dead, sometimes he just gets out because he's really powerful and has the Triforce of Power and whatnot. Joe5 asks, in Majora's Mask, Link is given the opportunity to enter a photography contest and uses the Pictograph box to take pictures with prizes for specific shots. If you held a Pictograph contest, what shots in Majora's Mask or any Zelda game would you judge are worthy for heart containers? All of the hot girls and also all of the cool monsters. But definitely all the hot. PJPaw3 asks, I was wondering, which version of Twilight Princess Hyrule is canonical? Since the Wii version is a mirror of the GameCube version, thus making everything reversed, which version of Hyrule is considered correct? I think it's the GameCube version, but I'm not sure. Well, the key thing here is it doesn't exactly matter. The geography of Hyrule is not consistent in any way between games, and I think that trying to connect the geography and make it make sense between games really is a bad idea, because it won't. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. But I'd say if you were gonna go with, like, some kind of canonical, you know, geography for Twilight Princess, it would probably be the GameCube version, because that's the one they were developing first. And they really just mirrored it for the Wii version just so they could make him right-handed. So I would say that definitely you'd have to go with the GameCube one, if it matters. Caleb Moore asks, what is your opinion on the connection between Demise and Ganondorf? Is Ganondorf a reincarnation, puppet, or descendant of Demise? Well, I think that, you know, clearly Nintendo intended that there is a connection, that Demise is responsible for the coming of Ganondorf in one way or another. That's clear. I think that the game itself strongly implies either a reincarnation or some kind of, like, either a reincarnation of either Demise himself, less likely, or, like, incarnation of his power, as he more or less said. Sort of like an indirect reincarnation, a reincarnation of his essence, not of him, the guy. If that makes any sense. But I think that the Japanese text, which implied more that it was a curse of the tribe, of the demon tribe, not necessarily Demise specifically, although certainly he created the demon tribe, indicates that Ganondorf probably had a lot more free will, in my opinion. Not really a puppet, not a reincarnation or a descendant either, but more like he was just like someone was going to come to fill that slot. There would be more demons. There would be a new demon leader. It just happened to be Ganon. Things lined up for him to inherit that power. That's my interpretation of it, though there really isn't a static correct answer here. It's a lot of speculation about what the hell is up there. Alright guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your questions to the contact information in the description, and I'll see you guys later. We were told basically that they, you know, as you probably know, answering, are you happy about this, or do you feel that pushing out, wait, what the hell? What areas or where, you know,